Hi, welcome to Leap Scholars Grammar Sessions. My name is Diksha Mehta and I will be taking you through these 8 videos which will help you practice all the grammar topics that you need for cracking the IELTS exam. So the first topic that we will be brushing up is complex sentence structures. Now, before we begin and learn what are the different sentence structures, where can we use them, before we begin this, we need to ask ourselves why exactly are we learning this and who all will this video help. So, whether you're a beginner or an intermediate level user or an advanced learner of English, this video is going to benefit you. And why do we need to learn it? So the answer is right here. These are the writing band descriptors issued by University of Cambridge, the public version of those. And let's look at the grammar. So let's magnify this and have a quick look at this and understand what all is considered under grammar. So as you can see, here it says band 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, when I talk about writing, what is the difference between a band 6 and a band 7? And why do so many students get stuck on a band 6.5? What is that one thing which is stopping students from crossing this threshold? All right, so let's have a look at band 6 grammar. It says make some errors in grammar. So, of course, it's talking about the grammatical errors. But apart from that, what is that one thing? Let's look at it. So, it says uses a mix of simple and complex sentence forms in a band 6. And what about band 7? So, for a band 7, it says uses a variety of complex structures and they are frequently error free. So, even between a band 6 and 7, it says, even for a band 6, it says that you need to use some complex sentences. And the amazing thing is that you already use them. You just need to know what are the different structures and try and use them a little more in your writing, which I will definitely help you with. Now, as you keep increasing the band score, as you keep going on 8 and then 9, you will see that it keeps asking you and pushing you towards using a wider range of structures, again wider range of structures which are completely error free, right? So the entire grammar is depending on two parts. One is that your grammar is accurate and the other is that is the grammatical range, which means range of structures, sentence structures. All right, so now that we know why we need to use them, you need to know them because unless you use these structures, you will not be able to cross that threshold of 6.5. All right, so let's understand now. To understand what are the different various structures, what are complex structures, we need to ask ourselves what is a simple sentence. So, only when we know this will we be able to understand what is not a simple sentence or what is a complex sentence. So, let's first answer this question. What do you think? What is a simple sentence? Any sentence which has one main idea, or if I may, in grammatical terms, say any sentence which has one clause. All right, so one main idea means one clause. So any sentence which has that is your simple sentence. Can you think of any such sentence? Let me give you an example. For example, let's look at me. Me. So I teach English, right? This is a simple sentence. Why? Because it has one clause. So here we have a subject, then we have a verb, which is teach, action word, and then we have an object, right? So this has one idea, one clause. What if I take one more simple sentence? Can you think of another simple sentence? Okay, let's say that I add one more simple sentence to it. So any one main idea. I specialize in IELTS, right? So that's one main idea here. And then there's one main idea here. So now if I join both these sentences, what will I have? So I will have a sentence which has more than one idea, right? And that is simply what your complex sentence is. So for example, if I join these two sentences, it becomes I am a teacher who specializes in teaching IELTS. Now, there's something peculiar about this sentence, which I must add, that is that in this sentence, this has two main ideas, and one of those ideas is dependent on the first idea. What does dependent mean? So, dependent means somebody who needs someone or someone who depends on another person, right? So, let's look at this sentence. I am a teacher. It's a complete sentence, right? There's a subject, there's a verb, and there's an object, right? It's a complete full sentence. I can just say I'm a teacher and it makes sense. But if I talk about the second main idea here, specializes in teaching IELTS, if I put it separately, it does not make sense. It sounds weird, it sounds off. Why? Because it has a verb, it has an object, but where is the subject? So it doesn't have a subject. Why? Because it was dependent on the first sentence for its subject, which was I, right? So that is your complex sentence. And now, what happens if I join both these sentences again? All right, if I join them again, but slightly differently. So again, I'm going to join them. I like teaching English, but I prefer teaching IELTS. Again, this sentence again has two ideas, right? So there's no different as to the number of ideas. The difference is in how I've joined them. And one more thing. So now in this sentence, both the clauses are independent. What does that mean? Let's look at the first clause. So I like teaching English. Is it a complete sentence? Yes, it makes full sense, right? What about the second clause? I prefer teaching IELTS. So even if I remove but, even if I remove this, it still makes absolute sense. It's completely correct, right? It is an independent sentence or an independent idea or clause, right? So when I join two independent ideas, it's called a compound sentence. So that's all. That is the entire difference in your complex sentence and compound sentence. Now let me ask you, this sentence, I'm a teacher who specializes in teaching IELTS, does it sound complex or complicated? No, right? It sounds easy. So, what does that mean? Are your complex sentence structures complicated, high level, or long? So, no, they are not. They don't need to be long. They don't need to sound academic. They don't need to sound like they're high level English. They can sound easy as well, right? And do I need to use all complex sentences in my writing? So, no, you don't need to use all complex sentences. As it says, just use a mix and make sure that using different variety. So, don't use the same type of sentence. Don't keep repeating who again and again, or don't keep repeating but. So, make sure that the sentences that you're forming are a mix of complex, compound, and simple. And make sure that you are using different words to combine them. So these words that I used, you need to use different. What are these? Conjunctions. So we will look at, in the rest of the video, we'll look at how to make complex sentences. What words can I use? So how exactly do I make complex sentence structures, and how do I make sure that they are varied, that the range is wide as your band descriptors demand. So the range needs to be wide. So there are four main ways of forming different complex sentences. The first one is using relative pronouns. Before I talk about that, how do I use complex sentence structures in speaking? All right. So let's say that you want to describe yourself. The examiner asks you, could you please talk about yourself? And a lot of ideas pop into my head. So suddenly I think about, okay, what all should I say? My name is Deeksha. I'm from Delhi. I used to live in England. I teach English. So I have four different ideas. But if I say it like this, if I say it aloud like this, it sounds off. Why? Because it sounds repetitive. There's a lot of repetition of the subject, right? And all of them are simple sentences. So what I need to do is I need to combine them. Can you try combining the sentences on the screen? So here is a sentence. My name is Deeksha and I'm from Delhi, but I used to live in England. So as you can see, I've joined all these three clauses and I've joined them using different connectors. Again, let's take one more example. Let's say the examiner asks you, have you ever flown first class? Again, there are 4 to 5 thoughts that quickly pop up in my mind. And I say, I quickly answer the question. I say, no, I've never flown first class. Why? Because it's expensive, then I would like to fly first class, and I think I would be well rested when I do that. But I can't say these out aloud like this by just repeating my subject I again and again. All right, so these four thoughts come to my mind. I need to join them. All I need to do is just join them. Let's try and join them together. All right, so here is an example. Although first class is luxurious and results in a person being well rested, it is very expensive, and that is why I prefer to fly economy. So I didn't just join my four clauses by using and. Instead, what I did was I used a lot of different connectors and I placed my sentences in a logical order to make sure that they are making sense, right? All right. Now, coming back to the four different ways of forming complex sentences that I was talking about earlier. So here they are. The first one is using a relative clause. So this is what I used in the first sentence that we saw. So relative clauses are made by using relative pronouns, which are who, which, and that. So, for example, whenever I want to give extra information about a person, place, or a thing, so a noun, I can use a relative pronoun. For example, he is the kind of a person who is always friendly. Okay, let's look at the second example. Air pollution can cause health problems. Air pollution is largely caused by motor vehicles. So I can join both of them and make sure I don't repeat this subject again. So I can say air pollution, which is largely caused by motor vehicles, can cause health problems. So I've modified the structure a little to make sure that it's making sense. There is evidence that some people are more likely to smoke. These people have parents and friends who smoke. So there is evidence that people who have parents and friends that smoke are more likely to smoke. The second way to join your clauses is by forming conditional clauses. So what does that mean? They're also called if clauses. That is, those clauses which express that the action in the main clause can only take place if a certain condition is met. All right. So all your conditionals, your zero conditional, first, second, and your mixed conditional will come under these clauses. For example, I will be really happy if I pass the IELTS test. I will pass the IELTS test. When will this happen? When will this condition be met? When you study enough grammar. So, right? If I study enough grammar, I will pass the IELTS test. Or when I study enough grammar, I will pass the IELTS test. You can use both if and when to write conditional clauses. Another example is if the cost of organic food proves to be expensive for most people, they will simply not buy it. The third method is by connecting your clauses with linking words. Words such as after, as, because, while, until, even though, although, when, and if. So, using linking words of contrast, wherein you can add contradicting information such as even though, although, while, whereas, or using linking words for similar type of clauses. So, for example, additionally, moreover, right? All of these. For example, Alan went to the teacher's office because he wanted to find out the answer. While the teacher was away, Alan entered her office. And the fourth method is by using a semicolon. All right. So you can use a semicolon when you have two clauses which have the same subject and are slightly related to each other. For example, let's look at these two clauses. IELTS is an easy exam, number one, and IELTS simply requires practice. So here it is actually is referring to the same subject, which is IELTS, right? So both of them are referring to the same subject. They are related to each other. Whenever you have such clauses, you can simply join them even without using a connector. You can here use a semicolon. Now moving to the second sentence structure that we saw earlier, which was compound sentence, right? So are they formed in the similar manner or are they formed in a slightly different manner? So yes, they are formed in a slightly different manner. Let's look at that. So your compound sentences are first difference that we saw in the first slide was that they have two independent clauses, right? That the clauses don't share a subject, they're not dependent on each other. And the second thing that you need to be careful of is that they are linked together with a conjunction which I can call fanboys. So it's an acronym for and, neither nor, but, either or, yet and so. Whenever your two independent clauses are joined by any of these conjunctions, it is called a compound sentence. For example, I like tea, but I prefer coffee. So I used a but. I really want to study, but I'm too tired. I've again used a but. She got to the test center early and she did really well on her IELTS test. So I hope that's a prediction for you. Let's look at one more example. So let's look at yet. I studied really hard for the IELTS exam, yet I couldn't score well because I didn't use complex sentence structures. So don't let that happen to you. Use fanboys and make sure you make compound sentences as well. Now, where exactly should I use complex sentences in my writing task? So, whenever in your writing task 2, whenever you're writing the main idea, which is also called the topic sentence of your paragraph, right, which is the first sentence of every paragraph at the beginning. So you can use a simple sentence. Why? Because you're making a main point and there's not going to be a lot of information that you need to write. Now, when you're expanding on that main point, all right, when you're giving a supporting example or explaining it or giving evidence or talking about what it results in, then you can use a complex sentence. For example, let's say that you're writing on this topic. Should fast food or junk food be taxed at a higher rate than normal food? The first main idea or topic, I can simply state it in a simple sentence. Why? Because my main idea is just one idea, right? Because it's one idea, it's a simple sentence. So increasing taxes would raise prices and lower consumption. All right. And followed by this, my supporting sentences, I have written them using complex structures. So, for example, fast food companies would pass on these taxes to consumers in the form of higher prices, and this would lead to people not being able to afford junk food. For instance, when I'm giving an example, the cost of organic food has proven prohibitively expensive for most people. Despite this linking word of contrast, people in many developed countries where the problem is most acute can afford price hikes and will continue to eat high fat meals. So, in my supporting sentences, I can write a complex sentence. Moving forward, let's quickly try and understand different ways to build complex sentences in both task 1 and task 2. So, whenever you are talking about something that happens because of the other thing, so what is your main idea resulting in, let's say, instead of using because, try and use better words, try and use leading to, causing, and resulting in, so that not all your sentence structures look similar. For example, without coordinated measures from national and global organizations, the environment will deteriorate, leading to a more unstable world for us all. While X may be positive in some respects, we should also consider its negative aspects. We face a number of challenges in this field, ranging from A to B and even in the long term C. We should not only do X but also consider doing Y as well. All right. Again, a linking word of contrast. Although it may be useful to do X, this would result in Y, causing, let's say, something. So I've joined three main ideas here. Foremost among these other challenges appears to be the question of overpopulation, by which I mean the growth of human members beyond the ability of the human race to support itself. So these are some really good words which you should use to join your thoughts and ideas. The words are underlined in black and you can note them down quickly in a notebook.